We're here in the Martinsville Fire Department headquarters, and I'm joined by our Fire Chief, Kevin Greene. Thanks for joining us.
Great to be here.
Now, how long have you been in this position?
Since January 1st of last year, so I'm working on a year and 5 months.
Okay, and how long have you been with the fire station altogether?
13 years.
13 years.
Yeah, just a little over 13.
Now, did you serve as a fireman before that somewhere else?
I did at Washington Township Fire
So
Department.
how long have you been a fireman altogether?
Probably close to 16 years, something like that, 16, 17 years.
And you live here in the community?
I do, just north of Martinsville and Greene Township.
We were talking with the police chief and his staff on another video, and we were talking about how important it is to live in the area that you serve.
Absolutely.
And so when you're at Walmart, you see the person that you maybe helped rescue out of a car wreck or out of a house fire.
There's been many a people that we've had the opportunity to see grow up, or they always want to speak to you and talk to you, and there's oftentimes when we're in a really bad wreck or something, we don't even know who they are, and they'll come back later and go, "Hey, that was me," and it's pretty amazing to see.
Wow. Now let's talk about wrecks for a little bit. We've had some. It seems to me like as a citizen, we've had more accidents lately because of all this traffic. Is that true? Or are you noticing an uptick in that, or is that just my imagination?
Well, we've seen a lot of minor accidents, particularly down off Morton Avenue, the bypass, places like that where the traffic, 2 lanes, people are trying to make a turn and they think they have the clear and they're not clear and they get hit by the second lane of traffic. So that's where it's really important for people not to just take the word of somebody waving you on.
Right.
And we've had multiple wrecks like that, but mainly it's because people just aren't slowing down. They need to slow down, take their time.
Just take your time.
Yep.
And it's hard because it's frustrating because everywhere you go right now, there's construction, there's traffic. We interviewed the mayor, and he said his joke right now, and it may not be funny to some people, is if you find a good street, let me know so we can tear it up.
I heard that one, and he's really about right. I mean, it never fails. We get a nice road, and we end up tearing it up of some sort or some reason.
Yeah.
But right now, if everybody can just remain patient, eventually this is going to be a great thing for us.
Absolutely.
It's a matter of time.
So why did you want to be a fireman?
Well, it's interesting. Back when I was a freshman in college, that's when I knew for 100% sure I wanted to do it. My grandparents' home got burned down in Indianapolis, and prior to that, I always wanted to be a fireman, but never knew for sure. And so my freshman year of college, I made the decision then I want to do that, as well as my professional career. I was going to be a horticulturalist, and I have a degree from Purdue in landscape horticulture and design, and did that for years with a previous business and worked for a large landscape firm out of Indianapolis, Carmel area. And then I decided that it was time to move into this. This is what I always wanted to do. So this is where I end up now. So
is it just something about helping people?
Yeah, it takes a special kind of crazy, and all of us guys play around with that a lot of times because the whole adage is we're always going in when people are running out.
Yeah.
And it takes a little bit of craziness to do that type of thing, but it's something that a lot of type A personalities here, and it's something that we enjoy. We love our community, we love helping people, and it's just something that is probably just in your blood. Terry Anderson, I heard you on that same podcast with the mayor talk about retirements, and it's interesting. He's done it for 40 plus years, and I asked him the other day, I said, "So do you hear the sirens go off and kind of wonder what's going on?" He goes, "Yes and no." Now that he's had all those years to be retired or in the fire service and then retire.
Yeah.
But I think it's something that you'll always have in your blood. It's just something that you always want to do. You just want to help.
Well, we know as citizens that it's a sacrifice. You guys miss ball games, you miss birthday parties, and all that kind of stuff. And we're thankful for the sacrifice that you guys make.
It's our pleasure.
To protect us. So recently you've been in the news regarding the purchase of a new fire truck.
Yes.
Now, am I correct? You asked for one and ended up getting 2?
Well, we started off because you got to come up with a number somehow. And so actually the truck we're sitting on is the one that we're going to replace.
Okay.
This truck was purchased. It's now 11 years old. It takes about 365 days to get a fire truck built. So we have a committee that's formed. They will actually put every nut and bolt in this thing, and it gets designed. That committee will know everything about the fire truck whenever it's built. And then, so what we did was we basically went in with the idea that it was going to be X amount of dollars for one very large truck. And over time, we started thinking about it and what's our run response and how do we handle other calls across the community here, because we help out in the townships and we do a lot of mutual aid. And it was kind of determined then that one big fire truck probably isn't going to be the right answer, particularly long term, as you start putting these trucks in reserve status. So it was brought up by a couple council members that maybe we ought to look at 2 fire trucks. And the reason for that is that this fire truck right now is stuffed full of equipment and gear, and we just don't have any more room to put the new technology that's out there, the things that we really need, that over history and time we've learned that we need. And so doing 2 fire trucks gives us a little bit more room, but it also helps our being able to turn over trucks and be able to get, keep nice equipment here. So.
Well, I remember, I've grown up in Martinsville, and I remember that we would have, it felt to me like the same trucks my entire life there for a long time. And so now we're rotating and getting different trucks in, and I know it's important. When you talked about not having enough storage for protective equipment, I'm like, listen, if I'm upside down in a ditch, I want you to have everything you need to get me out.
That's right. That's
right.
right.
And I know that there was some council members that wanted to talk about different purchasing aspects, and you know what? I respect that.
I do too.
As long as at the end, when we come to an agreement, we move forward as a community united.
Right.
And I think that's what's happening.
I do too. And to be honest with you, when you have those type of conversations, it allows for you to look at every avenue. And we want to be good stewards of the money that we're giving. It's taxpayer money. We don't want to just throw it away. We want to make sure that we're doing what we need to do. And it was very hard to ask for that kind of money, but to know where we need to go, what we have coming in our community with I-69, we've already seen an uptick in traffic. We know for a fact that there's a lot of bad things that run up and down this highway, and to the general public, they have no idea. And so we need to be prepared. We need to be able to have the equipment we need. And it's not always about a wreck. Oftentimes it may be a simple rescue to us, but to somebody else, like you said, it's a major thing. And then you also have hazardous materials that come up and down this highway that are unreal. And so yeah, it's important to have the tools that we need to have.
What I appreciated about what you said in the last city council meeting was you weren't full of pride. You said, listen, you guys asking me these questions made me go back and research, and I learned more.
Oh, absolutely.
And I appreciated your humility.
Oh, yeah. I was, like I say, when we first started this, one large truck sounded right. Because when you think about this truck, it's nothing more than a big toolbox on wheels. And so, in my opinion, because of staffing issues, I kept thinking we need to go larger in order to take care of staffing issues, be able to have all the stuff we need when we get on the scene. And then we started, hey, look, let's talk to the firemen, let's talk to some council members, let's talk to other communities that have done what we were thinking about doing. And then we also took it one step further, and Deputy Chief Fraker and I, we took off and we went and looked at a really large fire truck. And as soon as we saw that truck, we went, no way, it's just too big for us. And so I have no problem saying, look, I made a mistake. But now we've researched this fully. We feel like this is definitely by far the best option. And it will allow for us to have many more options down the road that will be better for the citizens.
I think that's a sign of a true leader, is being able to admit a mistake and then move on.
Every day.
It reminds me, we used to have a really big ladder truck, and we had to sell it because it was too big to get through our streets.
Well, there were some other things that went on with that truck. So it was fairly old. And so it's time, you don't want to keep something until there's no value at all. Now, we wish we still had that truck, just because it was a longer reach. Right now, we currently have a 78-foot stick out here, meaning there's no basket on it, platform. And then, but yes, there were some issues with it. There's always going to be some streets that you can't get things down. We could get that truck down any street. The problem was setting it up in the event that you need to set it up. So most of those streets that you'd have a problem setting it up, they were one-story, single-family residence. It really wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
So, but it's still too big. Yeah. And in this case, we felt like the best thing to do was go ahead and say, look, I like your idea. Let me run with it and see what we can do.
Last thing I want to ask you about is, once the interstate comes through, obviously you're already used to going to calls at Walmart. Sure. But my point is, we're moving that way.
Absolutely.
And so you're already talking about staffing issues. So what's the plan for that?
Well, the big plan for us is we do a fair amount of calls over on the east side of town. And one of the things that we need to be very cognizant of is building for our future. So when we get a larger corporation comes in, wants to build, maybe we can talk to them and get a part of their parcel and try to build a second station over there. Nothing like this place. This is a beautiful headquarters. It's big. We need nothing like that. What we need is something small that can put a couple apparatus in and then respond from that side of town. As you know, one of two things are going to happen with the city of Martinsville. It's either going to grow or it's not.
Right.
And in my opinion, I see growth coming based on all the things that we're hearing. So growth is coming. We need to be prepared for it. Hence, the 2 trucks coming will actually make it even better for us as well. So the staffing issues, obviously it takes revenue, it takes tax base, and when we start to see growth, then we'll be able to start filling some more positions, we hope, down the line. But at this point, though, we're seriously looking 10 years down the road and trying to figure out what does Martinsville look like. And some of these guys, they won't be here. They'll be retired at that point. So we're just trying to see how this is going to go. And right now, staffing's a big issue, regardless if it's fire or police or EMS or any business in Martinsville or across this country.
Absolutely.
Staffing's really tough. So we put out applications for a new job offering, and we had very few people apply, and that's just kind of typical how it goes. You know, back in the day, you'd have had 50 or 60 people apply for a position, and so now it's tougher and tougher. You're competing on a much harder market to get into. So, but yeah, we're working on it.
All right. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us, Chief Greene.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for protecting us.
You're welcome. It's our pleasure.